me this time, let me know. I wanted to talk to you about the productivity mindset blocks that often sabotage everything that we want to do. And this was one of the most voted comments in one of the most voted topics in the productivity group. So I thought it would be really, really fun to talk about them. It's one of my favorite topics as well. And I think that some of the people voted for this topic because they were just curious as to what those mindset blocks are. And a lot of people voted for it as well because they know that they have a lot of kind of mindset issues at a subconscious level that are probably inhibiting their productivity, and they're not always clear on what they are. And I think that the reason we know that a lot of our productivity is to do with our minds is that a lot of us run around looking for new plans, new checklists, new productivity tips and tricks. But then ultimately, when we lose momentum and lose motivation and get out on the wrong side of the bed or whatever, we just don't do the things that we meant to do, even though we have the checklists, we have the ebooks, we have the apps. So what is it that stops us from achieving what we want to do? Often it's these mindset blocks, which I am about to share with you. So mindset block number 1 is perfectionism. I think that this is the best well-known mindset block. A lot of people will easily say, oh, I'm just such a perfectionist, etc. So give me a 1 if you are a self-proclaimed perfect. The problem with perfectionists is that it's almost like a badge of honor sometimes, where they're like, oh, I'm just a perfectionist, you know, when really it can be a big, big inhibitor of productivity, and it can just paralyze you as well. And likewise, there are people who say they're big perfectionists, but really they're okay. It's not a big deal. They're not paralyzed. You know that perfectionism is really a big problem when you cannot reach any deadlines because you're always trying to make things perfect. When you don't look at the big picture, you're always stuck on the details. That's when you know that perfectionism is really a problem. And I think that the best way to combat perfectionism is to have a very clear plan, because when you have a clear plan about what the outcome is, then you won't get stuck on trying to make it perfect, because nothing is ever perfect. And if you know what the end result should be and what the quality level of that end result should be, what's good enough, what are you looking for, then you don't have to get stuck on the details of it. Let me know if you can actually hear me this time, because it wasn't working earlier. So give me a 1 if you think that you are a perfectionist, if that's an issue for you. The mindset block number 2 is FOMO, or fear of missing out. And this is a big one for a lot of millennials, where we feel like we can do anything and we want to be able to do everything. And I know that I definitely have this issue because I have a ton of interests and a ton of things I want to do. Oh, Kaushik says he's number 1. He's a perfectionist. Excellent. So tell me, what have you been stuck on? What kind of issues has your perfectionism brought up for you? Let me know in the comments as well. And I know that Kaushik has FOMO as well. So give me a 2 as well for FOMO, because I know you like that one. So FOMO is fear of missing out. It's when you end up not doing the thing you wanted to do because you're thinking about all of the other things that you could be doing or would like to be doing. So it's a big one for me because I have all kinds of things that I love. I have a lot of people I love as well. So I want to be in touch with all the people I know. I want to be spending time with all the people I know, organizing trips with them, talking to them, in touch all the time. I also want to be doing a lot of activities. I would like to be doing, 5 different types of sports, like playing badminton, also going to the gym, also going for runs, also joining a volleyball team here in Barcelona. There's some great beach volleyball as well. There's so many different sports I'd like to do. And then what else? I love art. I'd like to be painting. There are some life drawing classes here 3 times a week. I'd like to be going to those all the time. I like to play guitar. I'd like to learn how to sing. And there's just so many things I want to be doing, not to mention various types of jobs and work I want to be doing. Like, so many different career paths are interesting to me. I'd like to do them all. And I think that a lot of us get to a certain point as well, where we start to realize that we've taken on a certain career path. And then we start thinking, oh, wait, this means that I've said no to other career paths. And then sometimes we can get FOMO that maybe there's a different career path that would have been better, or a different type of lifestyle. Like, we've said yes to a certain type of career or lifestyle that's keeping us very busy or not busy enough, whatever it might be. And we start thinking, well, maybe I would have been better off choosing a different career. That person seems like they're really happy doing whatever they're doing. And we just start to have FOMO, which distracts us from what we really need to be doing. And we just can't, we get paralysis. We end up not doing anything. Like, for me, what happens if I want to do every single one of those hobbies that I like to do and see every single one of those people? What's going to happen is I see nobody and I do none of those things that I wanted to do, right? So that's why FOMO can be a huge productivity mindset block. So that's why it's so important, again, to have your productivity system clear so that you know where you're going, you know what your current goals are, you include the things that you want to do into that plan, and then you don't have FOMO because you know that you're doing the things that you really want to be doing. And all of those other things that you want to be doing that you're not doing right now, you know that they're either in your plan or you can easily put them into your plan at a later date. So that's why it's so important to have strong productivity systems. So let me know, number 2, if FOMO is an issue for you. And number 3 is the fear of leaving your comfort zone. And I think a lot of us, I'm really proud of the people who have admitted to me that, oh, I'm just afraid of leaving my comfort zone, because I think that this is a really, really difficult one to realize. And a lot of us will think, we'll come up with other reasons for why we're not doing something, when really the core reason is just fear of leaving our comfort zone. And if we realize that's all it was, we'd probably say, hey, I don't want that to be a reason not to do something. Fear of leaving my comfort zone. You know, once you leave your comfort zone and you just enter a new comfort zone, right? It's like when you move somewhere and you have that fear of, oh, I'm going to a new country, I'm moving somewhere, I don't know what to expect, I'm getting out of my comfort zone. And then you get there and within one day you're in your new place and it's like, it's a new comfort zone and it's no big deal. So as soon as we just realize that the source of our procrastination or our lack of productivity is simply a fear of leaving our comfort zone, I think then we can easily overcome, well, not always easily, but that is a big first step towards overcoming our productivity issues, if that's the real reason. So let me know, give me a number 3, if fear of leaving your comfort zone is something that you have come across. And number 4 is people pleasing. I see this one so much. So this includes not being able to say no. So you have your goals, you have your plan, and someone comes in and says, oh, can you just do this for me? And your immediate reaction is, oh, yes, of course. So you do it. Oh, Kaushik has this one. Oh, he has number 3, fear of leaving your comfort zone. Interesting. So back to people pleasing. This is when you know what you need to do, and then someone gives you something else and you say yes immediately without even realizing what it is they want you to do and if it even makes sense for you to do it. And the reason that it's not productive, some of us think that productivity is just whatever you're given, you do it, you're productive, but that is not it at all. If you have your goals and you know what you need to do and someone throws something on you and it actually doesn't make sense for you to be doing it, like sometimes it doesn't make sense for anyone to be doing it, and sometimes it does make sense for someone to do it, but certainly not you because you don't have the right knowledge, you're not well placed to do it. And what you should have done is thought about what they were proposing to you and just told them, sorry, but it doesn't make sense. It's not a productive way for us to be working. So people pleasing. And then the other aspect of people pleasing that I see people doing so much, and this is such a bad one because it's so self-sabotaging, is when you try to look good to other people in the sense of just staying until 10 p.m. to look like you're working and that kind of thing. This happens so much. And the kind of subconscious idea of this is that, okay, people are going to see me working, so I'm going to please them by them seeing me working, even though it probably pleases no one because then everyone thinks that they have to stay late. And also, maybe people actually don't care and you just have this feeling that you should stay late and appear to be working when nobody cares at all, right? So a lot of times we just assume these things that are really not true at all. Oh, Lau Alvarez says, I need to work on saying no. I think a lot of us need to work on saying no. I'm not saying we need to say no to everything all the time. It's just a matter of processing what is being asked of us and deciding whether it really makes sense. Common sense. Does it actually make sense for me to be doing this? Is it in line with my plan? And a lot of times it doesn't make sense at all. So that's what we need to be aware of. And then once you've really realized what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, when you have that productivity system and you really understand what is a productive way of working, then you have a lot more confidence to say no, because you realize, wait a minute, I have my plan, I have my system, this does not make sense. And you just explain to someone, here's what would make more sense, right? Maybe not for me to do it, but maybe this other person, or explain to them, it doesn't make sense for us to be doing this task at all. Let's take it off everyone's plates. This is something we're all struggling with for no reason. We're not getting any ROI, any return on investment. So there we go. Back to the saying no, because I know that's a big one. But okay, with the people pleasing. So I just wanted to mention the vicious cycle that a lot of us get into when it comes to people pleasing, which is often a fake idea of people pleasing, because we don't even know if we're pleasing anyone. Usually we're not pleasing anyone. Not ourselves, not anyone else. So imagine you stay until the office until 10 p.m. because you want to please the others and make them think that you're working until late. And then what's going to happen? Then it becomes a vicious cycle, because you're going to get home late, you're going to go to bed late, or you're not going to get enough sleep. Or if you do get enough sleep, then you're going to be in the office late the next day. Then you have to stay late again, and it just becomes this vicious cycle. And you're probably not pleasing anyone. You're certainly not pleasing yourself. And the worst of all of this is that you're not being productive, because you're not going to have enough energy. So remember that energy is the base of your productivity pyramid. So if you don't have energy, you can't expect to reach a good level of productivity. So if you're sabotaging your own energy levels by staying late to please other people, then you're sabotaging your own productivity, and you're not going to deliver on the things that you should be delivering. So it's really not productive at all. So give me a 4 if you have ever found yourself being a people pleaser before. If you've ever stayed in the office late because you thought it would look better, or if you've ever thought that, oh, people need to, I can't say no to something, that kind of thing. Okay, so number 5. This is a really big one. I hear it come up a lot, and it's such a negative one to have, but it really dictates a lot of our productivity. And this one is guilt. So give me a 5 if your productivity is ever dictated by guilt. I know that this is such a big one for so many people who I talk to, and it makes me so sad, because it's possible to be productive and to be happy. Imagine that. You can be super productive, super happy, in the zone, enjoy the work that you're doing, or you can be totally motivated by guilt and you feel productive because the guilt is telling you, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to keep working. Sometimes it's telling you, you can't leave now, it's too early, stay later, that kind of thing. And it's actually not productive at all, but you'll think you're being productive while you're doing things. But then later on, what's going to happen? The guilt's going to come back and is going to tell you that, well, you still didn't do enough, and you haven't done anything for yourself lately, so you should feel guilty for that as well, because we're all supposed to be these super well-rounded, perfect people, right, with the perfect work-life balance. So the guilt is going to tell you you need to work more, and then when you work more, it's going to tell you, well, you're a terrible parent, you're home late again, that kind of thing. And then you stay home and spend some time with your kids, and then they'll tell you, well, you've left work early now, you really should have finished up what you were doing at work. So you cannot win in this situation, and it'll make you miserable. So if you are stuck in a vicious guilt cycle, or if you've experienced guilt-motivated productivity, then give me a 5, although I know that's a hard one for a lot of people to admit as well. So I'm really proud of you if you can admit to guilt-motivated productivity, but you don't have to be shy to admit it, because this comes up with so many people. Like, you're really not alone if your productivity is often motivated by guilty thoughts. So the next one is number 6, which is the fear of asking for help. Again, another really, really common productivity mindset block. I've had it. I know everyone I talk to in the productivity group has had it. And the thing is that we're all these autonomous people. We like to be independent. We like to be the ones who just have it together and get things done. But it's actually not that productive to have that mindset a lot of times, because most of the time, whatever struggle you're having, someone else has already figured it out. Like, what is this thing of us thinking that we know everything and we know more than everyone else? Obviously, we don't know more than everyone else, you know? And it's just not productive at all to learn everything from scratch all the time. So sometimes, if we don't know how to do something, it's much better to just find out who does know how to do this and ask them. So, if you have experienced this one of not asking for help and you're realizing that it's not that productive to be living this way, maybe you're encountering some of the mindset blocks that I just mentioned right now, and you're realizing that, hey, it's been some years that I'm falling into these productivity traps and things like that. I'm motivated by guilt and whatnot. Then get in touch with me and we can chat together about whether we would be a good fit to work with one another, because these are some really common problems and there is definitely a way out of them so that we can start working not only productively, but also happily, and start actually reaching our goals. Because a lot of times these mindset blocks make us feel productive, but really we're not being productive, which means that we are not even reaching the goals that we have for ourselves. We're not getting our ROI for our investment of time and energy and resources. So this is why it's so important to deal with these mindset blocks, which are not that easy to deal with, I know. So that's why it's important to work together, work on our productivity systems, work on all of these blocks one by one so we can topple them over and get productive and reach our goals. So there you go. If you want to book a session with me to discuss this, then the link is accelerateyourambitions.com/apply. Looking forward to talking to you there. And have a good rest of the evening, a restful rest of the evening if it's also evening for you. And otherwise, have a good time finishing up your tasks today and have a productive rest of the day. Okay, see you soon.